Hey, what's up everybody? I'm James Withy and I am the owner of Dark Horse Tattoo Company. This is my very first YouTube video, and in this video we're going to be discussing the concept of a Friday the 13th tattoo special. So what exactly is a Friday the 13th tattoo special? Well, I don't know how it is around the world and other states, but in Arizona, which is where I live, Arizona, United States of America, there is a shop minimum typically of $60 for every tattoo that comes through. Even no matter how small it is or how simple it is, that's the minimum price that you're going to pay for one. And a Friday the 13th tattoo special is an opportunity for a client to come in and get a tattoo that's cheaper than that $60 minimum. Now typically what the price will be is it'll be a $13 tattoo with a $7 mandatory tip. Now, you might be wondering, if it's a $13 tattoo, then why the fuck is there a $7 mandatory tip? Why don't they just call it the 20 bucks that it is, like, straight across? And the reason why, in my opinion, is just because it sounds nice to have the $13 number match up with the actual date, Friday the 13th. And that $7 mandatory tip is just to make sure that the artist that's actually making the sacrifice and doing these tattoos at a discounted price is getting a larger percentage, a guaranteed larger percentage of that total $20 than what he would if it was just $20 straight across. As far as the designs go, they're typically gonna be like under a $50 sized, so pretty small, maybe around like that big for the tattoo. And oftentimes it'll just be like designs that clients bring in, like little infinity symbols or initials, or, you know, just small little like vectorized straight black tattoos like that, or just a very small simple color tattoo. Or sometimes it'll be like the type of design that is a flash design, which is a pre-made design by the artist, and they'll just have like a big sheet of them where they basically just let you choose from one of those designs that they've already drawn up. Sometimes they'll have themes, sometimes they'll just be random ass little tattoos, sometimes all the tattoos will have something to do with the number 13 in them. Now as far as me and whether or not I've participated in this special, I have done it before, but never at this shop that I own right here. I own Dark Horse Tattoo Company. We've probably been through, I don't know, like 4 or 5 Friday the 13ths. We've never actually done one of them ourselves. And the reason why is because everybody at the shop is pretty fucking busy, so we're already booked doing full price tattoos at like $150 an hour, and it doesn't really make sense for us to give a discounted rate and try to bring in new clientele at the expense of our day. Instead of making $1,000 in a day, we might only make a few $100 or something like that if we did the special. Plus it's just hella fucking nerve-wracking tattooing on so many new people during the day. So personally, we don't participate in it because it's just too much hassle for what it's worth. However, I have done it in the past. So other shops that I've worked at that were a little bit slower, now when I was actually much earlier in my career, like a few years ago, we have participated in the special and actually had great success with it. So I mean, there's been times when I fucking busted out, you know, 25 tattoos in one day, made a few $100 on a day when I probably was just gonna sit on my fucking ass and not do anything. And I gained a lot of new clients from those specials, and definitely it helped me out a lot. So it is worth doing under the right circumstances. Okay, so now that we've discussed what the special actually is, let's talk about some of the benefits of it. Obviously, the #1 pro for the client is they're gonna get a cheaper tattoo. So instead of paying that shop minimum of $60, $100, or whatever the fuck it is in your area, you're gonna come in, you're gonna get a fucking fast tattoo busted out, and you're just gonna go ahead and pay 20 bucks for it. And that's really nothing right there. Like that, you can literally spend that much at fucking McDonald's on 1 or 2 meals, you know? So it is a super cheap tattoo. Another one of the pros is that you're gonna have a slightly different experience than you would if you just went in and got like a tattoo on a regular day that wasn't the Friday the 13th special. A lot of people really like the idea of coming into a shop where, you know, on a day when it's more of an event and it's all busy and there's all this hustle and bustle, they bring a bunch of friends, they camp out, they bring snacks, they have a good time, and they kind of make like a spectacle out of it, you know? And some people think that that's cool, some people don't, but I feel like the majority of clients that participate in the Friday the 13th special definitely enjoy that aspect of it. It's almost like a little bit, it's like a party or something like that, you know? So as far as the artist goes, the main benefit definitely is that you're going to be bringing in a lot of clientele that you probably wouldn't have encountered if you didn't have the special at all. Now, like I said, earlier in my career, I participated in the special a few times, and definitely each time that the special happened, afterwards, I had more clientele than what I did before. I've actually had several clients from the special that ended up getting tattoos that costed several $1,000s from me. So it's almost like in business we call it a loss lead, where you have like one product that's way cheaper and it just brings clients in, and then later on they end up spending more money in your business because you have credibility at that point, and they're kind of putting a little bit more faith in you because they've worked with you before. So a lot of artists that already have a lot of clientele will still participate in the Friday the 13th special, and a lot of people are like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you really don't need any new people. Why are you doing this? And the answer is really simple, and it's because some guys just fucking like doing the special to push their limits to see how many tattoos they can actually do in one day, and also just to straight up just give back to the fucking community and help some people out that probably wouldn't have gotten a tattoo or couldn't afford to get a tattoo if it weren't for that special right there. So the reasons for this special aren't always inherently selfish as far as the tattoo artist is concerned. Actually, a lot of times it's just because they're trying to fucking have a badass time and give back to people. So those are the pros of the Friday the 13th tattoo special. Let's go ahead and get into like some of the negative aspects of it and the cons of it. For the client, definitely one of the negative aspects is that there is a fucking huge wait time for it. So when I used to do these specials at another shop, that was actually the first tattoo shop I worked at, we would open at noon, and maybe around 6 o'clock, we would have to stop putting people down, like their names on the waiting list, because we would literally have like fucking 40 or 50 people on that list, and it would be impossible for us to tattoo any more people unless we stayed like past 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which is when we would typically stop. Because there's so many people on the list, a lot of times what happens is these people will get in line for the fucking Friday the 13th special, and they'll literally have to wait 4 or 5 hours in the tattoo shop because they can't leave. They'll have to fucking wait 4 or 5 hours in the tattoo shop before they actually get tattooed. And definitely for me, that was always one of like the sillier parts of the logic as far as Friday the 13th specials go, because I used to figure, like, if you're waiting 4 or 5 hours for the tattoo and you're saving $40, which you're paying 20, right? $13 fucking tattoo, $7 mandatory tip equals 20 bucks. Shop minimum around these parts is normally 60. So if you're fucking saving 40 bucks by waiting 4 or 5 hours, let's say it's 4 hours just for the sake of the math, right? That's $10 per hour that you're saving. In Arizona, the minimum wage is 10 bucks an hour. So if you make 10 bucks an hour, which fucking everyone here does, then you can literally just go to work for those 4 or 5 hours and then go ahead and pay for the full $60 shop minimum and not have to fucking wait in line at all, as long as you're going to a shop that has an availability for a walk-in. If you make more than $10 an hour, you're actually hustling backwards and you're fucking not saving any money. You're actually spending more time than what it's worth waiting in line for this special right here. Okay, so one of the other drawbacks of this special for the client is that sometimes you will get a lower quality tattoo when you go to one of these specials. Now, the reasons why, there's a couple of them. First, it's because the majority of the shops that participate in this special, with the exception of guys like I mentioned before that just want to give back to the community, the majority of shops that participate in this special are going to be the type of shops where they really don't have a whole lot of traffic or clientele. And the reason why they don't have a lot of traffic or clientele is probably because they are either less experienced or less far along in their career, or maybe even less skilled as far as tattoo artists go. So you're kind of taking a little bit of a risk in terms of like whether or not the tattoo is going to come out 100% flawless, like with an absolute amount of certainty. Another factor is definitely fatigue. Like I said, sometimes I've done like 25 tattoos in one night, and by the end of the night, when fucking midnight starts rolling around, I'm like on my fucking 22nd, 23rd tattoo, oftentimes I would feel my hands cramping up, my eyes would be fucking hurting, my brain is, I'm just not as mentally sharp as I was at the beginning of the day when I first started busting those tattoos out. And as a result, I did a couple of tattoos that, I mean, I fucking have to admit, they were more haggard than the first ones that I did, and they just had like little flaws in them that I normally wouldn't have made if I wasn't that tired. So it's definitely something worth considering as far as like quality of tattoo. If you want like a more consistent result, then you kind of, sometimes it might be a better idea to just go ahead and pay the full price and come on a day when it's not like a special. Okay, so a definite drawback for the artist in terms of the special is going to be that they're making far less per hour than they would if they were just sitting around and tattooing full price all fucking day. And I discussed this a little bit at the beginning of the video, like in terms of the reason why I don't do the special anymore, but I just want to reiterate that when you can sit there and make 900 bucks in a session just by tattooing for fucking 7 or 8 hours on a regular big ass dope custom piece, it really a lot of times doesn't make sense to sit there and do like little infinity symbol bangers all day and make a fraction of that amount of money if you have the option to do otherwise. So that is one huge drawback, and that's probably the main reason why I don't participate in the special myself. Okay, so now that we've discussed what the Friday the 13th tattoo special actually is, what the pros are and what the cons are, let's go ahead and discuss tips for both the client and the artist on what they can do to get the best experience possible out of this special. Tips for clients. The number one tip that I can give you as a client is to show up early. Now, most tattoo shops will open up at 12 o'clock noon, at least in Arizona. In my state, that's what they do. And it's very wise for somebody that wants to participate in this special and not have to wait in line all fucking day or get an exhausted artist to go ahead and show up as early as possible. Most people aren't really thinking that way, so it's a really great idea to go ahead and just get ahead of the fucking line and make sure that you get in first. And oftentimes, if you do that, you'll only have to wait for maybe like an hour or two, if that, to go ahead and get your tattoo. So another tip, if you're going on this Friday the 13th excursion, is that you want to go ahead and have your design prepared ahead of time if possible. So if you're just getting like little initials or something like that, and like fucking, you know the exact font you want, like the exact cursive, and you know how big you want it to be and all them different things, go ahead and prepare it ahead of time. That way, when you get to the shop, you don't have to waste a bunch of time going back and forth with the artist, talking about, you know, sizing, font, placement, all them different things. The more you know about it, the easier it's gonna make it for the artist, and also the faster you're gonna be in and out of the fucking shop. So if you, like I said, if it's initials or just like a black vectorized logo or design, go ahead and size it out on your computer, do what you can if you have the ability to, and print it out at that size. That way when you come in, if it's just straight solid black, you hand it to the fucking tattoo artist, they run it through a stencil maker, they stick the stencil on you, their station's already set up, and they bust that motherfucker out. Another huge tip that you guys have probably already kind of caught on to by now is, because you're waiting so long during the special, if you do get caught up in like a fucking massive line, it's really smart to go ahead and get prepared to wait for a very long time. You know, what that means is you want to be well rested, you want to bring snacks, you want to bring friends, bring a fucking tablet or whatever you got to bring so you can fuck around and play some video games or whatever, and just be prepared to sit around for a long ass time while you're waiting for these other tattoos ahead of you to get finished. The more willing you are to wait, the more likely you're going to be able to have a good time, because if you get over there and you're all hungry, or you haven't taken a shit that day or whatever it is, and you got to bounce and go home and handle something and come back, you're probably going to get X'd out the line, and somebody else is going to take your place, and you're going to have to relist yourself at the bottom of that fucking list, which means even more waiting, which is even less cost effective for you. Okay, so now let's talk about some tips for artists to be successful with the special. The first tip that I want to go over is making flash ahead of time. So a lot of times people come in for these type of specials and they know that they want a tattoo, they know that they want it cheap, but they just don't know what the hell to get. So if you run into some people like that, even if your shop isn't exclusively doing flash, or even if they are just kind of letting everybody pick whatever they want to get, it's smart to have that flash as a backup just in case you get that one client that's like, derp, I don't know, what kind of stuff do you have to show me? If you got shit to show them and it's fucking cool little tight designs and shit, then they might be apt to get one of them. So another tip for tattoo artists for success in the Friday the 13th tattoo special is that you want to maximize your efficiency. If I'm participating in the Friday the 13th tattoo special, I am going to streamline the fuck out of my setup and breakdown. Like during the tattoo, you really don't want to rush through it. Obviously, you want to do your best on every single one because the point is to get people to come back. But that setup beforehand and that breakdown afterwards is what's really fucking killing you in terms of your numbers for the day and how many tattoos you can bust out. Now, another option for streamlining your setup and breakdown is to utilize the other staff that are in the tattoo shop if it's possible. So if you have like shop assistants or apprentices or whoever the fuck, get them to do as much of the work as possible so that you don't have to fuck around with none of that shit. You're the tattoo artist, do tattoos. If you have other people to set up and break down for you, take advantage of that shit so that while you're right here talking with the client and figuring out exactly what they want, your stuff is already being set up for that tattoo. And whenever you're done with the tattoo, all you got to do is just get up from your station, take your fucking gloves off and wash your hands and go and fucking talk to the next client while they're breaking all your shit down. So another way to maximize your efficiency is just to straight up design faster. Now, one of the techniques that I use to make my designs much faster is I use Photoshop. Early in my career, I actually took a college course on how to use Photoshop just specifically for that. And I tell you what, that fucking program, basically, it just makes everything easier, especially if you're dealing with like little like vectorized designs like logos and initials and all that sort of bullshit I was mentioning earlier. If you gotta splice multiple ones together or change the fucking color of things or make one thing semi-transparent or whatever, Photoshop works tremendously well for that. So get familiar with that program. There's tons of tutorials online. I'll probably make a video about that later, but get familiar with that program or something similar so that you can maximize your design efficiency. Now, another way to make your designs more efficient is you're gonna wanna go ahead and freehand as many tattoos as possible that day. Now, if you're like a really novice, like beginner level artist and you're afraid of freehanding and shit, that's totally cool. I respect your decision not to do it because you feel like you're gonna fuck somebody's tattoo up. But if you're one of those guys that's doing this special, even though you already are pretty experienced and you know what the hell you're doing, freehand as many fucking designs as you can. If I gotta do fucking knuckle lettering on Friday the 13th, and I'm pretty good at drawing lettering already, I'm grabbing Sharpies and I'm just drawing that shit straight on the fucking skin after I prep it, and I'm tattooing it, and that person's out the door and I'm saving probably like 15-20 minutes worth of design time right there. Okay, so another tip for tattoo artists on this special is you wanna make sure that you're eating smart throughout the day. This tattoo special, you're probably gonna be busting out dozens of tattoos and working from fucking noon until 2 or 3 in the morning. And it's really important that you're operating at your maximum ability of tattooing the entire time. So make sure you eat a big ass fucking heavy meal to start the day. Make sure that you fucking already have another meal prepared for half day, or that there's an assistant that can go out and fucking run and get something for you. And also make sure you got snacks on deck, like beef jerky or fucking peanuts or whatever you gotta do, so that you can snack on that shit like in between tattoos on your setup and your breakdown. So the last tip that I'm gonna give to tattoo artists to be successful during this special is do your best. And I feel like this kind of should go without saying. I feel like, you know, a tattoo artist should do their best job on every tattoo they do, regardless of whether it's a fucking special or it's not a special. But it's really worth reiterating because the main point of this special is that you are trying to retain clients and convince them to fucking get tattoos from you in the future. So keep in mind that you're doing a discounted tattoo on this person and the amount of money that you make is very small, but it's worth it because they might come back to you and get a tattoo that's worth several times the amount of the one you just did. And that experience could fucking, you know, the loss that you take that day could end up paying for itself many times over if you convince that person that you're worth getting a tattoo from. Make sure that you are as friendly as possible. Make sure you're taking your time on the tattoos. When you actually get the needle in the skin, don't just fucking rush through it and slop through it. Do your absolute fucking best. Make every line as crisp as you can. Saturate the color as well as you can. Don't take any fucking shortcuts. Make sure that you are listening to the person and giving them exactly what they want in the design. And also make sure that you're handing out your business cards and creating a lasting impression that makes these people want to come back to you and interact with you again. So that's about it. What we've covered in this video is what exactly the Friday the 13th tattoo special is, what the cons and what the pros are for both artists and clients, and also some essential tips for clients and artists alike to make sure that they have a good experience during the special. I hope you guys enjoyed my first video, and we'll see you next time.